The wait is finally coming to an end. Earlier today, CD Projekt Red revealed that on Tuesday, September 6th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Night City Wire is returning. This being this coming Tuesday, just a few days in the future, and it really seems like this is going to be the full package, news on the free DLC that is eventually going to come to this game, a first look and new details on the first expansion that's coming at some point in 2023, and the next update, which may just be a few days away in itself. To go along with this, CDPR even gave us this new little gameplay trailer to tease the new Night City Wire, and it actually does seem to tease a few of the new features that are on the way. But first, what is actually going on here? The first thing we're going to be getting is a new Night City Wire that's going to be 23 minutes long and really focus on Cyberpunk Edgerunners, the upcoming Cyberpunk show on Netflix. That is also very soon. It's coming on September 13th, but CD Projekt Red also describes updates on the upcoming patch and what's in store for the game in the future. So this Night City Wire will give us a look at Edgerunners, but also what looks like an in-game tie-in around the series. This likely coming with patch 1.6, but also some actual concrete details on this expansion, like maybe even when it's coming out. Despite the expansion not coming until 2023, CDPR has said in the past that the marketing for this expansion will actually start this year, which definitely gets me hopeful that it's coming in the earlier part of 2023, perhaps Q1. But the thing to really get excited about is patch 1.6, and that's likely just a few days away now, as they also described that after Night City Wire will be Red Streams number 3, with some of the developers of the game. In the first two Red Streams, when they actually did the stream, they were basically going over the next update, the next patch for the game, and the patch actually released on the same day of the stream. So considering this extra stream will be after Night City Wire on Tuesday, it seems incredibly likely that the next patch will be coming to Cyberpunk on Tuesday, which makes a lot of sense. It's actually been in testing for a long time, the longest of any Cyberpunk patch, and the build on Steam was literally just updated, so it's likely the final build being added to Steam. And if all of that somehow wasn't enough, there's actually a little bit more going on here. All of this is happening on September 6th, but on September 7th, CDPR is having their half-one earnings call, so we'll get to hear from some of the executives and perhaps even some more updates on the game. And one of the community managers even teased on Twitter how it seems like some of the ARG content could be making a return, perhaps around Night City Wire and all of this other stuff. There's this wild ongoing ARG, I just recently made a video on it, and it's this big unsolved mystery in Cyberpunk, so it would be nice to finally have it be resolved. But as I mentioned earlier, to go alongside the Night City Wire announcement, they dropped this little gameplay trailer. It seems like New Game Plus is finally coming to Cyberpunk. We could see this prologue shot of the game. You could tell it's a prologue because Jackie's actually alive and in the background. But you can see in the mirror that V has gorilla arms equipped. And although there technically may be a way to get gorilla arms in the prologue, it would be very difficult and require a lot of grinding or an obscure method. So what this seems to be teasing is that New Game Plus is coming. A way to basically start the game with an existing character, with an existing build, but then also likely enemies scaling differently in the background, and clearly here we can see gorilla arms, so likely your cybernetics will carry over. We can see this new jacket during one of the scenes in the trailer. It seems like this is David Martinez's jacket, which is one of the main characters from this upcoming series. The scene overall is actually pretty interesting. The seated position seems to be completely new, so this might be a new pose in photo mode that could be another one of the free DLCs on the way. Or if you want to be a bit more hopeful, maybe the reason this looks so odd or custom is that it's actually a part of a larger quest that ties into the Edgerunner series. It'd be cool to have a couple of quests that actually tie in, although I'd say to be safe, we're probably just getting this jacket. And this final pack shot of the trailer is also pretty interesting, as we can see V on a motorcycle shooting. This is not something you can currently do in Cyberpunk as far as I can tell, so this could be a hint of some kind of vehicle combat feature coming. It also could just be a cool looking graphic, but it'd be kind of weird to show off something you can't actually do in the game in a graphic advertising the game. But one thing to consider is that all of this in the trailer may actually be a part of the expansion and not necessarily the next update. Technically, this new trailer is teasing Night City Wire, and it seems like the way things will work is we're going to get Night City Wire first, and that'll likely focus largely on the Edgerunner show and the first expansion, because immediately after the 23 minutes of Night City Wire, we're going to be getting a Red Stream where they are explicitly going to be showing off the update. And again, since this trailer showing off the Night City Wire, which seems to be focused on the expansion, maybe this is all expansion content. Or maybe I'm just wrong, we don't really know. As far as what is possibly coming with patch 1.6, there's been a ton of stuff data mined. We have things like the transmog system I mentioned earlier that appearing in the game with patch 1.5, so it was definitely actively being worked on. There's a bunch of different weapons in the game's files right now. You can add some of these via console commands. These in various states of disarray, but there's actually quite a few weapons here, and a lot of them are pretty fun or kind of unique, like an anti-material rifle, a semi-automatic rifle, as opposed to the fully automatic ARs that are so common. But though I'm very excited for patch 1.6, I think people need to temper their expectations somewhat. It definitely seems like going forward with Cyberpunk, the new content addition will be from the expansion. Patch 1.6, although it's been worked on for a very long time, the longest dev time of any patch as far as I can tell, it'll actually have the smallest team on it of any patch. We can see from this breakdown that the vast majority of people working on Cyberpunk 2077 are working on the expansion, not actually the new update. And it seems like this patch will actually have 7 times less developers compared to the update we got with the next-gen version of the game earlier this year. So I think it's going to be smaller than patch 1.5 and patch 1.3, and it'll probably just be a decent-sized patch with a couple of new free DLCs to keep things interesting. At the very least, if this actually does end up having New Game Plus, that would be a pretty big feature, as well as general performance improvements, especially on PC, could be helpful. There's been some reports of some kind of memory leak issue, and that would definitely be nice to be addressed if it is a legitimate problem. Although, of course, it is also worth noting that this will likely break mods if you are a PC user, so you've been active in the modding scene. There's been a ton of great releases recently, but things will be temporarily broken. So you could either prevent your game from updating or perhaps have a second install of the game that is modded and won't update. And I suspect we're getting into that territory with Cyberpunk 2077, where the game's pretty old. We haven't gotten an update in a while. Some modders may have kind of stepped away from the game, and it may be very long or perhaps an eternity before certain mods are updated, although typically the core mods are updated very quickly. One of the other things that will likely get answered or at least somewhat addressed around this time is expansions overall, and really kind of the longer term roadmap perhaps for Cyberpunk. It seems like things are very deliberately being set up, so all of this will be revealed the day before the earnings call, so investors will be able to ask more informed questions. Not just, oh, when's the next expansion, or when are new details coming, because we'll have that information at that point. Although it's technically not been confirmed, to me it seems like the writing's on the wall that Cyberpunk's only getting one expansion. It seems like the multiplayer mode is dead. This expansion will probably be one of the last big things coming to Cyberpunk, and I wouldn't be shocked if patch 1.6 is one of the last major updates before that expansion. Might have a few smaller things in between and maybe even one more big update after the expansion, but otherwise I think we're definitely getting to the end here. Obviously there's going to be a huge boon of new content when the expansion comes out, but I'm just very interested to see what the executives will have to say during this earnings call. If we'll get a more concrete roadmap of what the future is. Is there really just one more expansion, and how many more updates can we expect around this game, or even how many more updates before the expansion? With that in mind, there's a lot to look forward to. I'll definitely be keeping you guys up to date with everything new that is revealed. And to end it off, a bit of a fun fact, all of this new information was dropped today, which also just happens to be Keanu Reeves' birthday, aka the guy that plays Johnny Silverhand. Now that could just be a coincidence, but it could just be a little fun nod by CD Projekt Red. But with that said, yeah, that's what's on the horizon for Cyberpunk. It seems like the period of silence is finally coming to an end, and we'll probably have a really good idea of what's coming next from now on. It seems very likely we'll get a release date for this expansion, so we're going to finally be able to stop wondering. Although if you are interested in that ongoing mystery and ARG, here's that video if you want to get up to date. Perfect timing just before this update, but otherwise, thank you all again for watching, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.